The San Francisco 49ers have two respectable corners on their roster. They have Ahkello Witherspoon. He's entering the second year of his NFL career. He played really well last year. They also have Richard Sherman. I shouldn't have to introduce Richard Sherman. At this point, you know who Richard Sherman is. Now, at the NFL owners meeting, the 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan talked about Richard Sherman. Kyle Shanahan praised Richard Sherman. Kyle Shanahan also called him a coach on the field. I like that. I like that description a lot. But hearing Kyle Shanahan describe Richard Sherman as a coach on the field made me wonder. I think it's worth considering. Would the 49ers draft Denzel Ward, the corner out of Ohio State, if they had the chance? Would they do it? Because we've seen Richard Sherman here's my thinking, Richard Sherman is 30 years old. He's coming off an Achilles injury, which is not good. When you're 30 years old already and you just injured your Achilles at a position, that's a ton of fast twitch movement. That's a lot of running. It's a lot of speed and quickness. It's concerning that, and it's possible maybe Richard Sherman will never again be what he once was. Begs the question, should the 49ers draft Denzel Ward? They could use Richard Sherman as a coach. Richard Sherman, he can be the nickel corner, let's be honest. In the NFL anymore, you need to have three different corners. There are so many multiple wide receiver sets, you can't have just two corners. You need to have three. There's often three corners on the field at a time. That's called a nickel package. So Denzel Ward is worth considering. He's the best corner in the draft. The problem is that Denzel Ward is only 5'11". And he's a corner that fits into a different system a lot better than the 49ers system. So the 49ers run a cover 3 defense, which requires longer, bigger corners. Guys like Ahkello Witherspoon, who's 6'3". Richard Sherman's a bigger corner. I think the best fit for the San Francisco 49ers at corner in this draft. Here's who, if I'm the 49ers, I would draft Quentin Meeks in the second or the third round. He is a corner out of Stanford. He's 6'2". I watched him play live at Washington State. He's a good player. He can really play. And here's the benefit with Richard Sherman. He could learn under Richard Sherman. They don't need him to play right away. The 49ers would not need Quentin Meeks to play right away. He could sit for 2-3 years. He could learn under a mentor, Richard Sherman, who ironically went to the same college as Meeks. I like that. There's no pressure on Meeks to play right away. That's who I would draft, because the 49ers should invest in another corner for the future. With the first round pick, I believe if you have a top round draft pick, if you have a top 10 draft pick, you got to leave the draft with a guy who can play right away, unless you're drafting a quarterback. That's the one unique time you don't. But if you're drafting a running back, a linebacker, a corner, a receiver, it's got to be a guy who you can insert into your lineup day one and make an impact. So I believe the 49ers should draft Tremaine Edmunds. And it's neck and neck. Tremaine Edmunds and Roquan Smith are both really, really great linebackers. It's really neck and neck between the two of them. I don't care. I like them both. Here's what I would go with, though. I would pick Tremaine Edmunds. He's 6'5". That's it. That's my only thing. 6'5" versus 6'1". I try to go with the bigger athlete. I like that a lot more. I feel safer with a bigger, stronger guy. So I think Tremaine Edmunds is the guy I would draft with the number 9 overall pick if I was the San Francisco 49ers and John Lynch. I like Tremaine Edmunds. I believe he can start day one. You can insert him in your lineup immediately, and he can play for the 49ers. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this show as much as I do, help me grow by telling your friends about this show. That's a crime. It rhymes. I know. Move on. Share with your friends on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever it is. Help me grow by telling your friends. And if you really like this podcast, subscribe to it on iTunes, on SoundCloud, and on YouTube.